Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host, Jo Milrine, and this is episode 139, A New Normal.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright.
Hello and welcome into episode 139. Today is Monday. I think it's a Monday, the 30th of March 2020, the Mad Dog 2020, and it has been a mad dog, hasn't it? Literally been a mad dog 2020. And I'm Jo, I'm your host. I'm back with you again, being random as you like and bringing you another episode, which is kind of cool. That's like 3 in 7 days, 8 days. I was hoping for it to be more, actually. I feel like I want to talk to you every day, but some days I'm just like not in that space. And I think everyone's been not in that space at some stage this week. Mine was Wednesday. I was like definitely not in the room at all. Like not in a good place. And I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was just like over it, massively over it. And shortly followed by Thursday, which involved a little bit too much amarula cream. Like, I think there are different, phases of adjusting to things, and the I can't cope phase is followed by an overly cheerful, I've totally got this, and then falling headfirst into some kind of alcoholic beverage, and then you kind of bottom back up again the other side. But yeah, I'm back again, and with you. I'm not even sure what time it is. I don't even know which the clocks have changed in the UK, right? And changed some of them, but not all of them. And now I'm in that kind of weird phase where you start questioning whether the clock is correct or not that you're looking at. Like, is it really this time or is it not? See, I thought I'd lost an hour, but it turns out the clock in the car obviously is an hour different to the real time. So I was like, oh, where's that hour gone? I thought it was earlier than this. No, I'm just confused by the car. Anyway, I'm back with you again. If you are a new listener, welcome in. I hear like everyone's getting into the knitting these days. It's super popular apparently when you're locked up. And if you have just got into the knitting, you might have found knitting podcasts and you might have found your way here, in which case, you're all right. Welcome. And if you are a returning listener, welcome back. It's always awesome to be able to hang out with you wherever you are in the world and spend a bit of knitting time with you or else. Otherwise, sometimes I'd like to go riding trains. In fact, I've been on the train, been on the long Gore trains in Australia with Marguerite. First show take there. She was driving her train and listening to the podcast last week, which is awesome. It's so cool. Like, you do a podcast and you get to be on the longest ore trains in the world in Australia. Like, I can be anywhere. I feel like Yoda or something. Like you can be in all these different places because people are listening to your podcast. It's super cool. So hi, Marguerite. And I've had lots of other messages from other people too. So I'm going to do a few shout outs. And for those who are wondering, no, we haven't managed to have a shout out on Jo Wick's PE yet. We've been working on that all week. My friend's got a shout out today though, but it is quite hard to get a shout out on Jo Wick's PE. It seems. But in the meantime, we're making sure the kids are doing their PE first thing in the morning. They're going to end up being PE teachers at this rate. It's the only work they are doing, really. Either that or esports professionals. It's quite hard work. But anyway, shout outs this week for Nicola Nolan. Hello, my lovely. AKA Cosmic Knitter on Instagram, who keeps sending me lovely little funny memes and random posts, DMs them to me, which is really cool. There's Cat Weaver Creates, who's Catherine. She's in North Carolina and quite a new listener, I think. And Small Smiley, D-Bex, my legend. Hannah Simps, who's always chimping up to me on Insta. She's really cute. She also has a little guy called Sam. On Utrike Summerton, whose lovely daughter is also like refugeed a little bit from China. She normally lives in China, but she couldn't go back at the moment. So she's hanging out back here in the UK. There's Margaret in Madison who got in touch to say she's only listened to like 2 episodes with her sister Jo. Hi, Jo. All Joes are awesome. And I hooked her up with my friend Louise Pants. So they're going to go, when everyone gets let out, they're going to go knit together, which is epic. and the lovely Liz at Greenside Knits Liz, long-time listener of the show. Hello to you too, my lovely. So loads of little shout-outs there for all of the cool people that have been getting in touch and saying hello. And there are more. This is just a list that I had written up to Friday. So I will get some more in the next episode for you for sure. But thank you very much for everyone that's been saying hello and leaving messages and comments and all that kind of good stuff, because it is appreciated, especially when you're locked up in the house on your own with your kids. So yeah, who else is adjusting to the new normal? Apparently like some ridiculous 30% of the world's population is on lockdown at the moment. That's pretty crazy, right? And we are adjusting to that new normal, as we say around here. I was, as I said, struggling quite a bit on Wednesday. Seems like I wrote these notes on Thursday because I've said today after it. And I've been super tired, like super, super tired. I'm not sure why, because I've been going to bed early and stuff, because there's no point staying up. Like, there's nothing to do. There's no good reason to stay up late on your own. I've just been going to bed early to try and obviously make sure I get enough sleep and all that kind of good stuff. And I've still been really knackered, like really knackered, and forgetting words and stuff, which has been quite strange for me because I like to talk a lot, as you know. So I decided just to basically lower my expectations, and they weren't very high in the first place. From the last episode that I talked to you about this to basically 0. So on Thursday, I'm just like, my expectations for today are 0. If the kids manage Joe Wicks PE and nobody dies, like we've had a good day. And that seemed to work quite well. And I actually got quite a lot of stuff done because I had no expectations about what I needed to get done. And that is a bit of a top tip from, obviously I've worked from home for quite a long time and been on my own with the kids for quite a long time. So I'm fairly used to it. But it's still freaking hard, guys. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's still hard when you can't just take them out to some glorious National Trust property and then let them run wild on the fields, and where you can't actually hear them screaming. It's not, it's terribly middle class sounding, isn't it? But it's not that easy. And I found that it was, and this isn't just now, but you'll probably, if you're not used to working from home, will be experiencing some of this, where it's very easy to get sucked into just doing more and more and more and more work, or setting yourself a ridiculous to-do list that you feel really empty and dead inside when you don't achieve it. And I think I talked about this in a knitting goals episode. I'll find the link, but I definitely did one about knitting goals and like how you kind of, if you wanted to set goals for your knitting, like how to do it without like making yourself miserable, and like goals for life or just getting through the days at the moment. Yes, by all means, write a massive to-do list, because then you don't forget anything and it's not swirling around in your head. But just pick 3 things that day that you need to get done. And once those 3 things are done, then you're finished. You can pick a bonus. If you're feeling super into it, you can do the bonus. But don't try and get all the way through the to-do list, because the problem with to-do lists is they're a little bit like gremlins. You do one job and it seems to sprout 3 more. So, you've got to be quite strict with yourself, otherwise you will get burned out quite quickly. Or just do what I do and set your expectations to 0. And unfortunately, my expectations for my knitting has also been at 0, and in fact the partial destash that I've been doing is still all over my spare room, like a week later. But I did manage to rearrange all of the aqua beads into colour order last night, #priorities. Anyway, there's the other aspect to this, and something that someone said to me the other day, which I think is really important. So I'm just going to reflect this back to you in case you are one of the people who are doing this as well. Is that whatever is a problem normally for you, whatever is something that sets you off normally, or something you struggle with normally, will be magnified at the moment because of the conditions that we are all experiencing. So to that end, just be aware of that. Like, things will be aggravated. Whatever is normally a problem for you will be aggravated. So just, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You don't need to do that. And just be aware of the fact that things will warp and change as your perception of reality warps and changes with what we're dealing with. So yeah, so there's been some funny things happening around here, like my kids have just suddenly turned into Velcro children. Has anyone else? Have you got Velcro children? I have Velcro pets. So the Shelties are Velcro pets. Womble and Bowser have always been Velcro pets. So they're the kind of dogs that they will follow you to the toilet and wait outside of the door just in case you happen to be considering a walk straight after you've been to the toilet. Like they like to trot around after you and follow you, which is quite cute when you're a dog. But now my children have started doing it. And they wouldn't be that bad if they were still toddlers, except they never did it when they were babies. Like they have never wanted to follow me around anywhere. They're super independent. But now all of a sudden they want to follow me everywhere, which is a little bit irritating because I keep like knocking them over because they stood right behind me. And I was in the shower the other day and, I've got 2 kids, so I don't, it's not like I luxuriate in the shower. I don't have time for luxuriation in the shower. It's purely a get in, get clean, get out type job. 5 minutes. So I went in there and I'm like washing my hair and I'm like, oh yeah, and I figure out what I need to do and blah, blah, blah. I'll take this out the freezer. And then I open my eyes and the bomb is just stood there. She sneaked into the bathroom. I haven't heard her. Sneaked into the bathroom and she's just stood there staring at me like The Exorcist or something. Not even saying anything. Not even, coming in with the ubiquitous sentence starter mummy. She just didn't say anything. Just stood there staring at me. I absolutely cacked my pants. I'm like, what are you doing? I've been in here for like 2.5 minutes, max. What is it that couldn't wait for me to get out of here? And why are you just standing there like a creepy ghost? What's that about? Ah, crazy. So yeah, that's been a bit of a struggle because they come and bomb everything. In fact, as soon as they hear me talking up here, they're going to be up here once they realise. They're downstairs with Zelda. Zelda's babysitting at the moment, so to try and get that 5 minutes peace. But something else I'm going to try this week is enforcing like an hour off, like an hour of full up solitude, like rest hour. I've seen some people talking about like nap rest hour thing, like time out. I'm going to enforce like a hard time out in the quarantine time where we just go and sit in our rooms and do nothing or do an activity of our choice by ourselves that doesn't involve answering to the word mummy or making food or any of the other stuff, because we've all got stuff where, like brain space we need to carve out. I can just sit there and knit a little bit. Speaking of the knitting, is anyone getting any knitting done? Anyone at all getting any knitting done? I'm not getting any knitting done. It's stressing me out a little bit. Not that you get like stressed about it really, but I feel like I really could be making more of the knitting time right now, and there's all this stuff about people like learning to play guitar and learning to knit and all of this stuff. And I'm like, how? Like, are you a Time Lord? Like, are you managing that? All I do is like wipe down groceries with bleach water and make freaking snacks and hoover up crumbs. That's all I do all day at the moment. I'm like a full-on PA. How do you manage to like take up a new hobby? It's so crazy. So, yeah. And then someone told me that the Tunnocks factory is closed, obviously, due to the current conditions with the virus. I'm like, how can you do that? Like, it's a worldwide emergency. The Tunnocks factory is closed. Like, there was a legitimate reason for stockpiling Tunnocks. Clearly there was. Not the toilet paper, that's going to carry on, but the Tunnocks is not going to carry on, and I would rather have Tunnocks than toilet paper. So, yeah. Anyway, so I haven't got much knitting done at all, to be honest with you. Like, I haven't even picked up the needles, but my brother's girlfriend is interested in learning. So my brother's like, oh, any idea where my brother's like, who's helped me move house before, said this to me, legit. Sis, have you any idea where I could get like some wool and some needles or like a loom or whatever? Like, he's trying to use the words, like he's obviously done a bit of Googling but then got a bit stuck. Or a loom or whatever, because like Les wants to learn to knit. She's thinking about learning to knit. And I'm like, I just laughed. I'm like, dude, have you seen my spare room? Like, is this a joke? Yeah, of course I've got stuff for her to knit with. And he's like, well, it was more of a hint, to be honest. So yeah, she's going to be learning to knit, which is quite exciting. So I'm putting together some resources for her and having a little stash dive, seeing what I can find in there for her. And I've also got a book that I'm going to review from Kate Adderley, which I'll probably try and do tomorrow if I can. that's got a lot of basic patterns and stuff for new knitters, and she's just re-released that this week. So I was like, Kate, I'll review your book if you like. And I'm also going to see if Les will review it for us as well, like a proper new knitter, to see what she thinks. That'd be quite cool. But yeah, otherwise I'm just not managing. And I think it is that thing where, you know, you're at capacity, where when you feel that a good use of your time is not indeed to get your knitting out, it's to sort out your kids' aqua beads into colour order, because that just makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? So yeah, I think it's okay. And having, you know, worked and taught people and worked with people before who are under stress or are experiencing that capacity issues, shall we say, and that's a very common thing to do, is to not deal with the thing that you probably should do to help you. It's to do something else that makes you feel like you're busy, when actually, you know, like, it doesn't overall contribute to what you're trying to achieve, but it makes you feel good because you've done a thing that is reasonably satisfying, but it's not a thing that gets you where you want to be going necessarily. And I definitely need to be knitting more jumpers, because all of my jumpers are currently stuck in China, and I've got one that's missing the buttons, and annoyingly, quite apparently from wearing it for 3 days, the sleeves aren't long enough, but the rest of the yarn's in China, so I can't even make the sleeves longer. I mean, how bad's that? So and it's gone freezing all of a sudden again, raging. So yeah, basically I need to examine that whole knitting piece, and I quite obviously what I decided to do was start looking for beads to do some beaded shawls, because they're going to keep me warm, aren't they? So yeah, but if you're not managing to knit at the moment, and I know a lot of people are not managing to knit at the moment, like they just can't even bear to look at it, it's just a bit much, that's all right, dude. It's okay. You don't have to be like learning a new skill or doing anything you don't want to do. And if it all feels a bit much, then don't do it. Literally, you have my pink permission slip to not do stuff that you don't want to do right now. That includes ironing and everything else as well. But it also includes even pleasurable activities. If they feel a bit much, then just Rolex them to the next day. You know, they're always going to be there. The yarn and the needles will always be there. So, and if you're anything like me, like, you know, they talk about stockpiling toilet paper, and I accidentally did because I ordered my toilet paper from Who Gives a Crap, and I forgot to cancel the one before Christmas, and I accidentally ordered another massive box. So I have got a load, but not because I was stockpiling, it's just because of my badmin. So yeah, anyway, I do have a little review for you today, and it is a collection of multicolour shawls. Speaking of shawls, because shawls are one of those things where it's not that much of a commitment. They're a bit easier generally to pick up and put down. You get the kind of satisfaction of finishing them a bit sooner than you would with a jumper. You know, jumpers can kind of go on a little bit, and they can be quite a good kind of TV knitting if you're doing a bit of Netflixing or whatever else. So I was given this by Joy from the Knitting Goddess at Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year, and I've been meaning to have a look at it and review it, and I've just not got round to it, mostly because it was here and I was in China, and so I thought I'd have a look at it now for you. And I've got quite a few things that have been sent for review that I now that I'm locked in, I'm going to prioritise my time of speaking to the podcast crew, because it makes me happy, and not doing, you know, number bonds with my kids. So anyway, it's called Wista Barn, and it's a collection of multicolour shawls with northern roots. Hooray! By Joy Macmillan. Joy is Joy of the Knitting Goddess, and I've interviewed her on the podcast before. It was a really good one, actually. I really enjoyed it. It was quite one of those kind of quite good episodes. It's 118. I'll put a link in the show notes, and all the show notes, as per usual, will be at shinybees.com/138 for this episode. Any of the show notes are at shinybees.com/episode number, just in case you're wondering. So they were all designed using Knitting Goddess yarn. I'm a big fan of Knitting Goddess. I've been into the Knitting Goddess since Africa, basically, since I got into nice yarn and very nurturing fibres. I've also been into Knitting Goddess yarn, and I have been doing some sneaky procurement. I won't lie to you, there's at least 4 sets of sock yarn on the bed next to me from stuff that I've bought recently. In particular, the BFL mohair blend that she does is amazing, including Tonic's caramel colourway. I might just get that out and cast that on. Except all of my needles are in China. And I can't even, I've got a redirection on my house, so everything I order gets sent to Sussex. That's like 300 miles away. It's not good. Anyway, Worcester Barn, which apparently means, where are you going in Yorkshire? Which I find quite confusing because I'm not from Yorkshire. I am Lancastrian. I know people think that a Wigan accent is from Yorkshire because it sounds very similar to like Leeds, Castleford and all that because rugby league, but I'm actually Lancastrian. So Worcester Barn means where are you going in Yorkshire. Worcester Barn or Worcester means where have you been in Lancashire, and that's why Lancashire is better than Yorkshire. So in this we have 6 different shawl patterns that have all been done with Knitting Goddess yarn. Some of them have been with like mini skeins, some of them have been done with full skeins, and this it's a variety of different yarns. And one of the things about the Knitting Goddess that you might not know if you've not listened to 118 is she does British yarns only. So she's really into kind of provenance and trying to make things as local as possible. And the yarns that I bought were literally spun and made within 20 miles of where they stay. And the yarns used in this book are the same. So she says, at the Knitting Goddess, we're passionate about colour and provenance. We love British wool. So all of the wool in the yarns we dye starts off as a fleece from UK flocks before being processed and spun in the UK. The yarns used in this book were spun by Laxton's in Yorkshire. We're extremely lucky to have a mill less than 20 miles away from us. The journey from the mill to our workshop passes through several villages and towns, and these have provided names for the shawls. How cool is that? So the first one is Baildon, and this one is an asymmetric triangle shawl that is created with knit stitches and basic increases and decreases to make an eyelet lace pattern. And then the final edge, because the edges can be a pain in the arse on shawls, can't they? Especially big ones. This is like a knitted on edge, like a hap. It looks very similar to the edging on, I want to say Harriet's hat, but it's not Harriet's hat at all. No, I've knitted it, and I cannot remember the name of the. You see what I'm saying? You know, I said I'm losing my memory. I couldn't remember the name of GarageBand earlier. I was trying to turn it on, look up GarageBand to turn it on, and I couldn't remember the name of GarageBand. Ace Light. See, it came back. Ace Light. So it's Gudgeon Johnson's shawl that I've knitted, and it looks very similar to that. So it's kind of like a pointed triangle shawl edging that's knitted on sideways, which is really cool. This one's knitted in DK weight BFL Masham, and it's a 2-colour shawl with the main body of the eyelet lace knitted in one colour, and then the knitted on edge and the other kind of top half of the shawl is knitted in the other colour, which is pretty cool. The next one is called Menston. This one has got a really sort of deep pattern, so it uses a very like the same. It looks like the same starting triangle that the first one Baildon uses, but it's then got a different edging on it, which is kind of like it's knitted in a colour gradient from one side to the other, and this also has some eyelets in it as well and pointed edges. So it looks quite different. I've not really seen anything like this one before, and I like the colour play between the mini skeins. I'm pretty sure it is a mini skein set, and the plain colour, like the plain grey colour of the main body. So this is also knitted in BFL Masham, but it's a 4-ply weight instead of the DK, and it's 100 gram skein, and then there is a 120 gram set of mini skeins. So this is one that you could quite easily, use an ordinary skein yourself, and then if you could pull together mini skeins, and we talked about mini skeins a couple of episodes ago, about like what do you do with those, you could either use a mini skein set, or you could put together your own set from what you've got, or to be honest, you could just use like a gradient yarn. If you get 120 grams of gradient yarn, you might not even need the whole 120 grams. You might get away with it. If it's a 100-gram one, that would do the work for you. You wouldn't even need to change colours, which would be good. And this one can also be done in Brit sock as well. So the Knitting Goddess Brit sock is awesome. I love it. I've got loads of it. And that is a 4-ply. It's 40% Blueface Leicester, 20% Wensleydale, 20% alpaca and 20% nylon. So it's really good for socks, but it's also really nice and hard wearing for shawls that are going to take a bit of a battering, basically, rather than, I find sometimes shawls can get a bit bobbly, especially with the finer fibres. This will be one that's nice and cozy and it will wear quite well. So that's cool. That's number 2. And it's quite big. It's like 1 metre by 2 metres. It's quite large. The next one is Otley. I really like this one. So the main body is in rib. There's no kind of lace looking yarn in this. It's a combination of rib and stocking stitch, basically. So it's quite structural. It looks quite nice. There's a bit of something to it, but not too much in terms of lace or patterning or anything like that. Super versatile. But this one uses it's Russian joins, basically, so the colours all flow into each other, which I think is really cool. It's always nice to use a different technique in a shawl, especially if it's a basic one, but then with a cool technique that's, it's something a little bit different. The Russian joins also mean that you can use up every little bit of yarn, which is really good. And there are notes on how to do the Russian join technique in the back of the book. So this one uses 100 grams skein for the main body, which has the rib. It's a large triangle. And then it uses a set of 5 mini skeins. So that's 100 gram set of 5 mini skeins, so 20 grams of each. And the sample is done in like a blues and greens. It's really pretty. So again, you could use pretty much anything for that. You don't necessarily have to use the yarn that is called for, but it's because it's so simple, it allows you to show all of the different colours in the yarn, because you have the main colour and then you have the mini skeins all kind of blend into each other, which is awesome. So Leithley is another kind of lean triangle shawl, and this is again very basic, but it uses an entire set of mini skeins, so it creates this really pretty gradient effect, starting from that kind of the corner of the neck, the middle of the neck, going all the way down to the ends, where obviously the colours get kind of spread out a little bit more. Again, this is a 4-ply pattern, and you could knit this in the Brit sock as well if you wanted to. It also uses the Russian joins, and it's just another way of showing off like a gradient of yarns. I think it looked really cool in self-striping as well, personally. Maybe not a crazy self-striping, but something a bit more tonal that's not quite so aggressive. If you can find that, that would be awesome. The next pattern is called Beckwith Shaw, and this is quite a classic hap shaped pattern, and it's stockinette stitch. It starts with black, so like a black main colour, and then it goes into these mini skein rainbows towards the outside of the shawl, the bottom of the shawl. So if it was round your neck, the black would be nearest to your face, and then the kind of bib part that sits down, that would be all of the colours. It has the sideways edging as well. It looks quite boo knitsy, with the really pointy ends. Obviously there are no beads in this, but that hap edging makes it look like that. The shark tooth sort of edging. Again, great for showing off any pretty colours of yarns, any gradients, anything like that. A nice simple pattern like this will show them off really well, especially if you've got like a set of mini skeins lying around that you don't really know what to do with. This would be a really good pattern for that. So it's 4-ply again, and it calls for 100 gram skein and one 120 gram mini skein set. So her mini skein sets, which I'm sure are available on the website, are 12 colours in the mini skein set. Obviously you do 6 or any kind of interval there within that to make it work. So yeah, that one was Beckwithshaw, which is cool. So quite simple patterns. The last one that we've got is Harrogate. I do like Harrogate. And this one is cool. So it's just a dead simple sideways shallow triangle shawl. But what they've done is they've striped, or what Joy's done, what the pattern does is you stripe the colours from one end to the other. So you've got like a double rainbow of stripes. Double rainbow. So yeah, which is pretty cool. So this is in the 4-ply again. You need 120 gram mini skein set, and then you work those sort of against each other to create the effect. It's worked in primary shades, so I've gone all the way through and not told you that the mini skein set that most of these are worked in is called primary shades. But because again it's dead simple, this would be classic TV knitting type stuff, and just letting the yarn do the work again. Really versatile, scarf pattern. You can just throw it on, take it anywhere. Jobs are good and really, and use up those mini skein sets for this too. So yes, that was the 6 patterns, which is cool. I think my favourite is Otley. Otley's my favourite. I will put links to this in the show notes, and I'll put all of the pictures in as well, so you can have a quick toot through those if you're looking for something that's a nice kind of potato chippy knitting. I am not a mini skein person, so I don't have mini skeins lying around so much, but I am definitely going to be having a look maybe for some self-stripe or a gradient or something like that. I can combine 2 together and have a crack at some of these patterns. So that is Wister Barn. Where are you going in Yorkshire? Not Wister Bin. Where have you been in Lancashire? A collection of multicolour shawls with northern roots designed by Joy Macmillan of The Knitting Goddess. You'll find everything to do with that at thenittinggoddess.co.uk. So that's my review for today, my chat for today. I'm hoping to be back with you again very soon, and I'm hoping to have actually picked up my needles by then and got back into the knit. But thank you very much for listening. Give me a shout on any of the socials. I'm at ShinyBees, or you can email me info@shinybees.com. If you've got anything you want me to take a look at, or anything you want me to talk about, or anything like that, then let me know. If you're struggling, and you're struggling so much now you're listening to me, just give me a shout. You can send me a DM or whatever, send me a meme, whatever you want. Just get in touch. I'll talk to you. I'm dead friendly. Ask anyone. I'm dead friendly. Unless you're weird. Unless you're one of those weird fake military men or fake shakes on Instagram, in which case I'm not talking to you. But anyone else, that's all right. That's all right. So yeah, take care everyone. Happy crafting, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers. You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast. Show notes for this episode can be found at shinybees.com/138. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please do share it with a friend or someone else that you know that likes knitting. Cheers.